everyone. This will be the supplementary discussion for our final topic in Module 3, Special Topics in STS. So this will just be a supplementary discussion, assuming all things go out well in our class schedule. But anyway, just like with any other discussion that we're holding online, I'll be asking you to do an Easter egg hunt. So, gaya lang din ng last time, meron kayong Easter egg hunt na gagawin for me to determine whether you've actually watched this recording or not. Okay, so our final topic will be covering two lessons, which will be about artificial intelligence and robotics, and the final frontier about space. Okay, so let's start with AI and robotics. So, artificial intelligence is a hot topic in recent years, in the recent 2 years that have passed. So, ano ba pinagkaiba ni artificial intelligence kay robotics? These two fields are very closely related to one another, but by functionality, they are very different. Both have the same purpose, of course, as technology. They aim to help in, they aim to assist in doing the things that we are supposed to do. Now, with artificial intelligence, what is meant to do is to replicate something that can be done by an intelligent being. In this case, ina-assume natin humbly na tayo yun. And our skills as an intelligent being is what's being replicated by artificial intelligence. So, for example, its capability to learn, to solve problems are just a few examples of how artificial intelligence replicates human skills. So, ibig sabihin, itong artificial intelligence, it has the capability to decide, to reason out, just like a human would do, because it is learning from the data that is being fed to it and learning from the data that it already has. So parang actual human talaga based doon sa na-absorb ng information at based doon sa information na kung anong meron na siya. So in relation to that, some type of robots are powered with artificial intelligence. But when we say robotics, it's purely an advanced machinery. So yung mga machinery sa factory noon, we can say partly that they are robots, the primitive versions of robots. But in modern times, when we define what a robot is, it is still meant to help in production, it's still meant to help in humans in doing their tasks that are too heavy, okay, that are too difficult or dangerous for us. So what we do is we assign or we designate a particular machine to do it. So yun yung purpose ng robots. Now sometimes again you combine robots with AI and that results into um, a robot that or robotics that is powered by artificial intelligence. This is the common notion when we say the word robot, yung humanoid in look and is still able to do the functions of a robot in general to help. So in recent times, ganun kasi ang ginagawa natin. Okay. Now moving forward to your Easter egg hunt, this is what's going to happen for this Easter egg hunt. So I'll be flashing a few slides that contain clues as to what will be a code. So this is just a code, or you will uncover a code that you still need to decode so that you can answer the Easter egg hunt. So this is three layers of Easter egg hunt. So first layer is of course you finding the clues. Second layer is you organizing the clues, and the third layer is you decoding said clues. So in each respective um, accomplishment, you'll be rewarded with the points So, ang magiging pointing system niyo lang naman yan, 17, 18, 19, 20. If you fully uncover it, 20. If you don't fully uncover it, you just discovered the words, it's either 9, 18 or 19, depending on how much you've uncovered. And then 17 if you just throw in the towel, kumbaga. So, inuulit ko, may score pa rin kayo kahit na hindi niyo nahanap yung mismong word. So, you just mismong word. Hindi niyo na decode yung mismong Easter egg hunt. So, you can still submit considering that. Anyway, moving forward to this is the first clue for your Easter egg hunt. So, let's move on. So, there are two major types of artificial intelligence. So those two types are known as discriminative and generative AI. Discriminative can sometimes be called as predictive AI as well. So ano yung discriminative AI? So if you are familiar with Google Lens, it's an example of a discriminative AI tool. So what does it do? Essentially, when you scan something, take a picture of something, the AI will peruse its data and try to identify what it is. So, ang discriminative AI, it's meant for predicting, it's meant for diagnosing, it's meant for analyzing data. Okay, discriminative and predictive AI is meant to do that particular thing. Um, it does this by finding patterns and comparing it to the data it already has. So, ibig sabihin, meron na siyang data na pinagbabasihan ng kung ano yung possible na object na yon. So, it's meant for identification purposes. Yun po ang ginagawa ng discriminative. And the common notion of AI tools comes in the realm of generative AI. So, generative AI is, as meant by its name, may as meant by its name, it is going to create something, to generate something. So, depende doon sa binigay mong data, sa tinype mo na prompt, may lalabas na particular na image, may particular na words, or paragraphs na gawa, okay? Gawa nung mismong AI tool. So, ang kinaiba niya kay predictive or kay discriminative is the fact that it is creating new information. It's creating something new or novel that is not that is not like discriminative AI, which just identifies something. Okay? So yun, pag nag-type ka ng prompt sa generative AI, halimbawa tinanong mo, what is AI? Pag sinabi mong ganun sa generative AI, gagawa siya ng sagot para sa'yo. Eh, maaaring hindi pala maaari, may basis yung sagot na yun. Pero ang problem is, hindi mo totally alam kung yung basis ba nung sagot na yun ay legitimate sources. So this is the problem with generative AI and people totally relying on them and making it sound like it is a search engine. Okay? So yun po yung hindi maganda. Hindi niyo dapat gawing search engine ang generative AI kasi puwede siyang gumawa ng sarili niyang sagot or yung sagot niya maaaring hindi totoo yung pinanggalingan na resource. So, that's why you need to be very careful in choosing which AI tool you're going to use in a particular task. So, normally naman talaga may encounter ninyo ay si generative AI. Although search engines can be considered as discriminative AI kasi syempre, maglalagay ka ng input tapos ipapakita niya lang sa'yo. Filter out niya yung entire internet for you to see what you're looking for. So, kaya yun ang pinagkaiba ni discriminative kay generative. Si discriminative, mas malaki yung participation ni ni human dun sa process. Hindi siya katulad ni generative na basta nilagay ni human yung code or hindi pala code, sorry. Nilagay ni human yung prompt. Bahala na si generative AI kung saan niya kukuhanin yung information. Basta may ibabalik siya dun sa nagtanong at the end of the day. So, it's very dangerous in that regard. And responsible use of AI leads to better AI outcomes. Tatandaan ninyo lagi, meron tayong tinatawag na machine learning. Dadaanan natin yun mamaya. Yung machine learning na yun, importante yun para ma-maintain ng, ng AI tools, in particular, generative AI, yung quality ng kanilang output. Okay? So hindi lang dapat tama yung pinipili yung tool, AI tool para sa gagawin ninyong activity or task. Dapat may responsibility din kayo once na ginamit niyo na yun kasi essentially you're training, you're part of the training of the AI tool. Okay? So what are the recent innovations with AI and robotics? So sa robotics kasi wala naman tayong total types ng mga robots. Essentially, yung machine siya na designated sa iba't ibang tasks na ginagawa. So tuloy na tayo dun sa recent innovations. And considering how fast technology is evolving, AI and robotics equally equally develop along with such technologies. So nababawasan or lumiliit minsan, madalas pala, nababawasan, lumiliit yung mga materials. So mas nagiging compact din itong mga bagay na 'to with regards to AI and robotics. So isa-isahin natin. Ano yung natural language processing? So for AI, NLP is an aspect that allows it to communicate more like humans. So how so? Halimbawa, nagtanong ka ng pa-joke sa AI. Pag na-recognize ng AI yun na nagjo-joke ka pala, ibig sabihin may natural language processing siya. Or yung sarcasm mo, nape-predict ng AI tool due to your voice changes, that's an example of natural processing as well. So, di ba? Minsan may mga taong mahirap makaintindi ng sarcasm or jokes, pero ang point is, there are people that can, okay? That can do. So itong mga bagay na 'to, 'pag na-detect ng AI yan at naintindihan or na-gets nung AI yung sinasabi mo, even though you're using humor or sarcasm, it means that it is a well-developed AI. It's serving its purpose to be uh, acting like an intelligent being. So, yun yun. Also, non-language cues are also included with natural processing. So, yung pagbabago ng ng facial features, okay? Pag naintindihan ng AI yun at na-gets niya yung point na gusto mong sabihin or yung hidden meaning na gusto mong sabihin, sabihin may maganda siyang natural language processing even beyond some humans pa nga in that regard. So, si Jarvis tsaka si Tars, yung mga example na si Jarvis, of course, yung AI ni Iron Man, and uh, si Tars, yung AI doon sa Interstellar na movie. So, sila ay nakakaintindi ng humor and sarcasm. So, ito ay may magandang natural language processing. So, in recent years, it's developing, gearing towards those kinds of levels dun sa dalawang fiction na yun. Next is computer vision. This is an old technology and it came very useful during the pandemic. So 'di ba yung sa airport yung hindi na kailangang lapitan at tutukan ng nung thermometer yung mga passengers na dumadaan kasi it can be detected already. Okay, their temperatures can be detected already. And that is through computer vision and with the help of AI. Okay, so siyempre may kasama na yung ibang technology, pero ang point is AI pa rin yung magde-detect kung ano talaga yon. This is part discriminative AI talaga. Hindi pala part, fully discriminative AI. Next, machine learning. So machine learning is what I talked about a while ago, and its purpose is for the AI tool to learn. Okay? So pre-installed sa mga AI tools, meron na silang data. But as time passes by, and just like how humans do it, our intelligent beings do it, as time passes by, they acquire more information. And the more information they acquire, the higher the chances of them using new information to give their responses. So, magandang pakinggan yung concept kasi 'di ba, nag-a-advance siya, natututo yung AI tool. Pero, kung hindi matino yung kausap, parang tao lang din, kung hindi matino yung kausap mo, malamang sa malamang yung response na ibibigay mo hindi rin matino. So this is where the responsibility of the user is important. The feedback mechanism is important here. So for example, pag gumamit ka ng Gemini or sabihin na natin si ChatGPT, may small feedback section yan, yung may thumbs up tas thumbs down minsan, was this helpful or not? Yung mga gano'ng bagay pagka nag-respond ka doon, isipin ng AI tool na, okay, okay pala 'to, okay, hindi pala okay 'to. So that helps in their machine learning or the simple fact that you did not respond anymore. O nag-inend mo na yung conversation niyo, wala ka ng sinabi. Ite-take ni AI tool yon na most likely good yung answer kasi hindi na nag-respond si user. So, i-absorb niya yun. Paano kung hindi pala maganda yung output na ginawa niya? Or halimbawa, gusto mo ng ibang AI tool na lang yung gamitin kaya iniwan mo na yung isang AI tool na previously na gamit mo. So, it kind of worsens the problem specifically if the AI user did not prompt properly. Ang prompting po yun yung tina-type nyo. Alam niya naman na siguro 'to, 'di ba? 'Pag nag-type ka, yun yung prompt na tinatawag natin. Kapag maganda yung pagkaka-prompt mo, maganda rin yung ibibigay sa'yo ng AI tool. 'Pag hindi maganda yung pagkaka-prompt mo, alanganin yun, especially with generative AI. So halimbawa, gano'n na nga ang nangyari. Nag-type ka ng hindi magandang prompt, nagbigay ng response si AI tool, hindi ka nagbigay ng feedback. Ite-take ni AI tool na maganda yung sagot na ibinigay niya. So dahil dun, maaaring magkaroon ng hindi magandang sagot sa mga next iterations or sa mga next responses pala nung AI tool. Kaya again, importante yung feedbacking with AI because it helps in its machine learning. And if all people or most people that utilize AI are well versed with proper prompting, it can help in machine learning and it can help in making AI better in general. So kaya dapat responsible users kayo ng AI, hindi lang basta-basta. Okay? Next. Now we move on to the field of robotics. Slowly transitioning between the two, we have the AI-powered robots that I have mentioned. So ito na yung mga humanoid robots. Kasi pag sinabi nating robotics lang, normally, parts lang siya like an arm-like thing, or uh, a claw-like thing, yung mga gano'n. So, robotics pa rin yon. Pero pag sinabi natin yung humanoid in shape, ito na yung inire-relate or pinagmumukha nilang tao yung mga robots. And their actions are reliant on artificial intelligence. So, pag pinaghalo mo sila, gumagawa ka ng human-like robot, basically. Or intelligent life-like robot. So this is the ultimate form of robotics, yung AI-powered robots kasi combination na siya ng dalawang technology na pinag-uusapan natin ngayon. And again, it fulfills uh, both aims of the field of robotics and artificial intelligence. Si AI gustong maging as much as possible human-like yung yung kanilang thinking, reasoning, and everything that is related to intelligent life. Yung si robotics naman, maging assistant ng mga humans. Okay, so you combine the two concepts, you form a human-like robot. So, ganun yan. So, ito na yung humanoid robots. So, si Sophia is an example of that. Ayan siya yun, si Sophia. Tapos, yung kanina, nakalimutan ko yung pangalan ng robot na to. Pero yan, isa rin siya. Magkakaibang companies ang gumagawa ng AI-powered robots. Pero again, they are boasting that they are very much like, very human-like in nature. So, medyo nakakatakot lang kasi siyempre iniisip ng ibang tao papalitan sa trabaho, mga ganyan. Pag-usapan natin yan mamaya. Kasi again, this is the ultimate goal of technology. Essentially, to replace humans. in the tasks that they're doing. Hindi magandang pakinggan, pero kasi if you become too reliant on technology and you're not doing your part of it, that's the ultimate endpoint of technology for you, 'di ba? Instead of just helping you, you are relying things on technology. So, pagka humanoid robots na pinag-usapan natin, it can be the substitute for a particular human task. So, yun yung napapalitan yung mismong mga tao sa kanilang trabaho. Then again, this is a subjective thing. I'll explain later pagka nadaanan natin yung concern na yun. Pero again, humanoid robots are capable of showing human-like emotions. Yeah. Although it's not as smooth, nakikita niyo naman dun sa sa GIF image na nasa screen ninyo ngayon, it's not that smooth. But some people act like that. Okay? Yung hindi ganun ka smooth yung kanilang reactions from one to another. So they also are able to express their thoughts. If I'm not mistaken, Sophia ito yung nasa screen ninyo has proposed the idea that she wants children. Okay, so something like that. They are expressing their thoughts, and this is through the AI that enables them to do so. Okay, next. So, partly, autonomous vehicles are a combination of both as well, pero lamang ito sa AI side. More and more self-driving cars in various countries are being used. Okay? Kaya lang nakikita niyo naman siguro yung mga meme or mga issues na nag-a-arise diyan. Minsan yung mga self-driving car, kakamali. So it's common. It's common. It's part of their learning curve to, of course, make errors. Minsan magkakadikit sila tapos hindi nila nalalaman kung ano nangyayari or di sila nakakapag-respond ng tama. But eventually, as time passes by, um, autonomous vehicles can actually lessen the amount of accidents and road issues that we have, 'di ba? Kasi, ang traffic nagmumula yan or nag-stem yan sa improper vehicle spacing and speed in the roads. So, yung mga pahinto-hinto sa sasakyan, yung mabagal, so nagko-cause siya ng traffic jam. There's this one study of a Japanese, I think Japanese researchers. Ako, I just saw it recently. Tapos ang ginawa nila, they've put vehicles in one lap of a circle. So, consistently, yung speed lang nila, pinapa-maintain. Okay? So, nung consistent pa yung speed ng mga sasakyan, walang traffic. Yung meron lang bahagyang nagbago yung speed ng sasakyan, doon nag-umpisa yung traffic jam. Eh, isang circle lang yon. So, ibig sabihin, walang rason para maging traffic, tas wala naman nadadagdag or nababawas sa sasakyan. So, ibig sabihin, nasa bilis at spacing ng sasakyan yung dahilan, most likely, kung bakit nagkakaroon ng traffic. And with autonomous vehicles, that can be avoided or at least mitigated. So, magiging mas maayos ang ating traffic system pag gano'n. Okay? So again, we're not aiming to replace people, but the efficiency on things are, of course, found in AI-powered or robots. AI-powered tools and robots pala. So, pumapasok kasi yun doon. Kaya merong mga nag-opt talaga na ipalit itong mga bagay na ito. Collaborative robots or cobots are, again, the main concept of robotics. To have things that can help in the production of something, in carrying things. So with with the help of AI tools, collaborative robots or cobots are becoming more and more humanoid in nature as well. So yun na nga, yung meron ako isa nakitang video, isa siyang robot na AI powered, tas it's meant to do a very menial task, but it's dangerous in general. Parang nagpapalit siya ng fuse ng something. So, basta delikado, may kinalaman sa electricity eh. Tapos, siya na lang ang gumagawa, yung mismong robot na yun na lang. So again, it's a menial task, yes, but it's dangerous all in all. So pagka cobot na yung gumawa or yung mismong robot na lang ang gagawa nun, wala nang mapuput in danger. So yun naman yung ultimate goal, to lessen dangers, to to lighten the workload. Again, lighten, hindi totally alisin, lighten the workload. So kaya yung cobots para sila doon. Sa mga factories maraming ganito. And last one is the creepiest. In recent studies, um, certain researchers have been trying to graft artificial skin grown from actual human skin to robots. So ito yung isang experiment na ginawa nila, pinangiti nila yung isang robot. So nilagyan nila ng artificial skin. Laboratory induced ito, wala silang binalatang tao. So artificial skin, tapos idinikit nila sa skeleton na robot. Okay? So the ultimate goal is of course to create more human-like robots. So to the point na parang in the future, yung mga humans at saka yung robots, hindi ganun kalaki yung difference. Or ito nga yung papunta doon sa Terminator scenario, di ba? Yun eh. Very realistic yung kanilang skin, similar to humans in its looks and texture. So the aim of the researchers that did this is to allow more emotions to be shown by robots. So medyo ano yun, medyo creepy lang talagang tingnan kung nakikita niyo. Sige, just look at its eyes and try and see how it looks like. Just pause for a moment, tapos tingnan niyo maigi kung ano nangyayari sa kanya. It will send chills. Yung medyo may kakaibang feeling kayo mararamdaman pag nakita ninyo or tinitigan ninyo ng maigi. So ayun. Okay. So these are just a few of the advances that had happened in recent years with regards to AI and robotics. So bago tayo tumuloy, ito yung next clue for your Easter egg hunt. So take it as you will kung anong ibig sabihin yan. Again, you need to decode this so that you can decode it and actually learn what it is about. So triple layers, kaya na bahala dyan umintindi. Okay, let's move on. So what are the impacts of AI and robotics to society? In recent years, again, gaya na napag-usapan natin, medyo negative ang outlook ng karamihan ng tao or most people with AI in particular. Sa robotics, parang wala namang gaanong issue, pero meron din in a sense kasi nga may mga napapalitan din ng tao in the work that they do. So job displacement is the major issue that AI and robotics brings to the table. Okay? So ayaw ng mga tao na mapalitan sila sa kanilang mga trabahong ginagawa. Pero gaya ng sabi ko noon sa mga klase ko ng GE5, essentially when you are making yourselves aware about AI and robotics, or at least taking part in activities or seminars that keep you informed about AI and robotics and help you master them, specifically AI, you're actually gaining an advantage over other workers. Okay? And it can help you in your employment. Kung marunong ka gumamit or mag-utilize ng AI tools, mas madali. Mas magiging madali na makakuha ka ng trabaho at mas may advantage ka kasi alam mo yung AI eh. Okay? At pag alam mo yung AI, alam mo kung paano siya i-circumnavigate in a sense. So, yun naman yung dapat nating kino-consider dito kasi again, this is just a tool. AI is just a tool. Robots are just tools. Okay? They are technology that should only help us. So meron pa ring tao at behind the curtain that's going to do these things or going to do certain things that will help AI and robotics. Okay? So meron pa ring intervention dapat ito ng humans at hindi totally inaasa lang sa kanila. At yun ngayon yung future ng mga trabaho. Kaya sana hanapan ninyo ng paraan or hanapan ninyo ng lusot essentially sa inyong trabaho in the future kung paano magagamit ang AI tools. Specifically AI tools kasi malabo naman, wala namang engineering na uh, only those in the field of engineering and of course in relation to mechanics ang makaka-access ng robotics part nito. Pero mostly of the other courses, AI talaga ang magiging pinakamalapit sa inyo. So pwede niyo siyang gamitin to your advantage to lighten the work that you do as long as you are ethically using it. Kasi as of this moment, again, wala tayong regulation for AI use. Wala tayong batas in particular na nagdi-discuss kung ano yung limits and extents of using AI. So, nandoon na yun sa ethical part na lang. Hindi legal, ethical part. At, and that is another issue that these two put into the table, yung ethical concerns and privacy concerns. Bakit? So, meron kasing mga tao na syempre hindi naman natin may iwasan 'yan, napag-usapan na natin 'to since the beginning of special topics. We can control the decision of other people. Can influence them, but we cannot totally control it. The decision is still with them. Okay? So halimbawa, kung pinagdesisyonan nila na gamitin ng AI na, for example, yung AI for deep faking the faces of people, it's their decision. Dito na nga ipapasok yung proper regulation in law. As much as possible, lawmakers should think of ways in order to mitigate at least, kasi hindi naman totally mapapagbawal yan eh, to highly mitigate the improper, unethical use of AI and robotics. Okay? Security issue, paano kung may drone na paano kung merong drone na AI-enabled at nakikita niya ang nasa paligid ninyo or ginagamit siya for surveillance, automatic surveillance. Or ano naman yung sa bias dito. For example, yung mga common issue to with AI, yung mga racial stereotypes. Kasi yung naka-program sa kanila, yung naka-plan sa kanila eh. So, yung mga racial stereotypes hindi nape-prevent ng AI tools. So, medyo nagre-result yun into bias. Dati pag naglagay ka, nag-type ka sa image generator ng Filipino, parang magpapagawa ka ng image ng Filipino, generic yung dating. Masyadong generic kung makikita ninyo, mapapansin ninyo. Or halimbawa, uh, Filipina child or Filipina woman, yung itsura nila halos pare-pareho. Kasi nga, may bias. Okay? Basically, may racial bias na nangyayari. Kaya yun yung image na lumalabas. Although in more advanced AI tools nowadays, hindi naman na gano'n, nagkakaroon na ng variation dun sa itsura. So that's good because again, AI is learning and it's part of the progress. Kaya lang hindi natin maiiwasan. Depende pa rin yan sa mag-feed ng information. Okay? Kung may racial bias na yung mismong tao na yun, magkakaroon din ng ganun ng ganun yung AI tool. Plus yung mga AI sa social media for example. The AI algorithms in social media causes some biased information for you to see. Siyempre, ang mga ilalike mo yung gusto mo at pabor sa opinion mo. So dahil naka-focus ka sa ganoon, yung AI algorithm nung computer, nung social media, bibigyan ka ng mas maraming information na about doon. Paano kung ikaw pala yung nasa maling side? Papaano kung ikaw pala yung hindi tama dun sa situation, yung opinion mo pala hindi tama, nafi-feed ka lang ng ng social media, ng information from other people na mali din yung opinion. Pero dahil nag-like ka, mas matagal yung exposure time mo doon sa part na yon ng social media, bibigyan ka niya ng ganong klaseng mga information or ganong klaseng mga content. Okay? So it's another form of bias. And last one, ito naman yung pinakamalabo sa lahat, yung para doon sa mga AI, ah, para doon sa mga AI tools, para doon sa mga AI tools is yung about sa autonomy and control. So paano daw pagka naging rogue itong mga robots na ito na humanoid. So this is the Terminator scenario that I was mentioning during our nanotechnology talk. Okay? So there's a chance of course na maging ano siya, maging autonomous and rebellious. Pero ang lagi niyong tatandaan ay yung tinatawag natin na Turing test. Yung Turing test, ito ay uh, it's a simple test that will determine whether an AI tool is, or sorry, a robot or an AI tool is breaking the human barrier or nalagpasan niya na ang capabilities ng humans. So, so far wala naman nakakagawa noon sa mga AI na meron tayo at sa mga robots na meron tayo. Close to that, yes. Pero not accomplishing it still. Kasi once na na-reach ng AI or ng robots powered by AI, yung aspect na yon, ang mangyayari is they have equal level of human thought already. Equal level to us. So yun yung medyo delikado or in a sense ayaw ng maraming tao kasi iniisip nila na maaaring magkaroon ng sariling desisyon yung robot tapos yung robot na may sariling desisyon ay gagawa ng ah, problem. So yun yung autonomy naman. Naging rogue yung robot dahil doon sa kanyang very human-like decision making. So, paano kung yung robot daw ay nag-decide na i-annihilate tayong lahat? This is the Ultron scenario in, for those familiar with the Marvel franchise. Yung Ultron scenario kung saan nag-decide siya na ang solusyon para magkaroon ng peace ay annihilate ang lahat ng humans. It's the decision that it did. So that's a concern as well. Okay? Paano pag nag-go out of control yung robots? So again, this is entirely reliant on those that will be using said technology and in what way they're going to use it. So sabi nga dito sa quote na ito ni Ted Nelson, good thing about computers is that they do what you tell them to do. The bad news is that they do what you tell them to do. So again, it's all on the people that are going to program these things. Kasi at the end of the day, ang mga AI powered robots and artificial intelligence in general, hin, hindi naman sila basta-basta mag-overboard sa kanilang programming. Okay? It still is limited as of the moment. As of the moment, na it still is limited. But again, this will also depend on how people use these technologies. And as I've said, with machine learning, through feedbacking, we can help in maintaining a good quality of AI tools and robots in general. And keeping them aligned as well. Na ang purpose nila is to help us and not to overpower us, parang ganoon. Kasi tayo rin na magbibigay ng chance sa kanila pagka ganoon eh. Pagka inasa natin sa kanila lahat, hindi kasalanan ng AI tool yun pag nagkaroon siya ng self-decision on doing things because we are prompting it to do so. So dapat, it's just aiming to help overall. Okay? So that is basically the end of the first lesson in the final lesson. Now we move on to the last one, which is about the final frontier. This will talk about space exploration, the future of humanity, and its the future of humanity and its trajectory at the end of the day. So kaya siya tinatawag na final frontier ang space kasi ito yung huling-huling pupuntahan natin. Okay? Nandito yung mga huling-huling bagay na pupuntahan natin. So, this quote from Leonardo da Vinci is a very good summary of why we have this drive to go to space. So, for once you have tasted flight, you will walk the earth with your eyes turned skywards, for there you have been, and there you will long to return. Okay? Since the beginning, since the beginning, napag-aralan natin ito, babalik din tayo sa umpisa-umpisa mga lessons natin. Um, Ancient civilizations have always looked up into the sky. They've wondered what is there, how can you possibly get there? Okay? Space gives us a sense of wonder that I do hope you still have. Sana meron pa rin sa inyo ng mga nagsa-stargazing or at least napapahinto pagka napapatingala, pag may nakikitang stars, okay, and celestial bodies na nasa sky during nighttime. Because that's what powered many curious minds to do a lot of things and make our society progress. Okay? There are a lot of technologies that stem out from the eagerness to go into space. Okay? And again, this is the future that we're leaning towards. The future where we can finally move past the ground, the sky, and into the unknown, literally. So, um, maraming maraming pangyayari ang naganap bago natin naabot yung early steps towards space exploration. Okay, again, early steps. Hindi pa malayo ang nararating natin with regards to space exploration, pero in a span of 60 years, we have first created a plane that can lift us from the ground, make us fly. In 60 years after that, around 60 years after that, we have stepped on the moon. That's how determined humans are in reaching the final frontier. Ganon tayo ka-dedicated doon sa pagpunta at pag-explore ng space that in just mere 60 years we have covered, sorry, we have moved past the ground and the skies into the moon. So the development of these technologies also created new technologies. Lagi ninyong tatandaan na maraming bagay ang meron tayo ngayon. Yung mga technologies na ginagamit natin, for example, internet is one of them that is actually meant for space travel. Okay, communication niya for communication, satellite communication is meant for transmitting information from the ground, from mission control to space. So isa lang yan sa maraming technologies na ginagamit natin nowadays. Some nanotechnologies are also used for space. Yung concept of cooling down, okay, yung air conditioning in a sense, or using water to cool down things is another space-related technology. And among many other things, marami pa. Okay? It's all because of, again, our drive to move past the sky, move past the heavens above us. So, ano ba yung mga milestone na yon na pinag-uusapan natin dito with regards to space exploration? So, pag tayo mag-deal with those things, let's cover the next part of your Easter egg hunt. Again, take the image as you would and try to deduce something from it. Okay? So, ayan yung image. Next. So, these are the highlights of our goal to reach space. So, unang-una na, of course, yung Wright brothers, yung kanilang flying machine na pinalipad noong 1903, ang unang-unang step natin for space exploration. So, before this, there were no at least records of official flight before the Wright brothers did their thing. So in a few years after that, Robert Goddard created a special type of device known as a rocket. So itong rocket na to ang magiging basis ng future technologies that will propel humans way above the ground. So yun yun. Of course, somewhere in the 1950s, we have the launch of Sputnik. So ito na yung papunta na tayo doon sa tinatawag natin na Cold War. And during the Cold War, that's when the space race happened. Meron tayong dalawang tawag sa mga pumupunta sa space nung panahon na yon. Merong astronaut, may cosmonaut. Kung nalilito kayo kung anong difference nun, magkaiba sila ng tawag para sa iisang bagay. Yung cosmonaut ay Russian people na pumupunta sa space, yung astronaut ay mga Americans. At again, nung kasagsagan ng Cold War, ito yung isa rin sa aim ng bawat isa, maabot ang ilang particular milestones with regards to space exploration. Pataasan ng literal na pataasan ng ihi ito sa pagitan ng Amerika at saka ng Russia nung panahon na yon. Okay? So, nauna ang Russia sa maraming bagay. So, isa na nga doon, yung unang-unang satellite, Russia ang nagpadala nun. Yun yung tinatawag natin na Sputnik. And it was launched into space with the help of rocket technology that originated from Goddard's device. And then, a few years after that, in 1961, Yuri Gagarin had the chance to be the first person to orbit the entire planet from the perspective of a cosmonaut in space. Okay? Sabihin, nag-orbit siya sa paligid ng Earth. Okay? During this time. And he was the first human, to do that. So a few years after that, na-trigger ang Amerika lalo. So, at the end, nearing the end of the space race, the American side of things, astronauts were gearing towards landing on the moon. And in 1969, of course, Apollo 11, with its crew of Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, did the deed. And inuulit ko po, ito po ay totoong nangyari. Hindi po ito conspiracy theory para lang ihinto ang Cold War at gawing bankrupt ang Russia with regards to space technology. Okay? Totoo po nangyari itong paglapag natin sa buwan. And again, the fact that we're seeing the planet from a different perspective, it led into something. Actually, yun yung naging reason kung bakit nagkaroon ng space race eh. I didn't get the chance to see the image. I mean, to find the image. Pero meron yung isang image na pinublish ng NASA, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, na pinakita yung picture ng Earth from perspective of one of the Apollo missions before Apollo 11. Kasi unti-unti yan eh, stage by stage yan. Yung Apollo 11, yun yung lumapag talaga at may nakatapak na mga tao. Pero bago yan, may mga nauna pa. So, one of those trips, one astronaut, na I'm sorry I can't remember the name, pero one of those astronauts took a photo of Earth and then it was published publicly by NASA. So nakita yun ng mga tao, parang nagkaroon ng drive ang humans na something was triggered with humans, and then they sort of got more interested in space, more invested. Kaya nung 1969, nung lumapag ang humankind sa buwan collectively through the feet of Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, kasi si Michael Collins nandun lang siya sa loob ng lunar module, hindi siya nakaapak talaga pero nasa buwan pa din siya. Okay? It drove humans to further be interested in space. So talaga nung pumalo na noong 1969, ano yan, worldwide sensation ito. Talagang broadcasted throughout the entire planet yung paglapag ng Apollo 11 sa sa buwan. It's a shame I wasn't able to see this. Hindi pa po ako gano'ng katanda, pero hindi ko po inabutan yung 1969 na paglapag ng human sa buwan. Most likely yung mga lolo't lola ninyo inabot ito. Tanungin niyo sila kung napanood ba nila 'to, napakinggan nila sa radyo. Kasi again, ito ay malaking milestone para sa ating lahat. Tas after nun, meron ding, patuloy na nangibabaw ang American side ng space exploration with regards to launching various things into space. And most famously in 1977, Voyager spacecrafts were launched into space. So si Voyager 1 in particular, nandun 'to sa isa sa mga pinag-usapan natin nung, pangalan nito, nung lesson 2 natin about civilizations and their legacies. So in modern times, nakalagay dun yung about sa Voyager 1. Voyager 1 contains, it's a time capsule basically. It's a time capsule recording sounds of the Earth, um, looks of humans, and directions pointing towards where our planet is. So the aim of Voyager 1 is basically to be launched into space to collect data, see other planets up close a little bit, and further down the line, should it meet alien civilizations somewhere beyond the solar system, they know that there are other species that are present in somewhere in the galaxies or somewhere in the universe. So yun ang aim nun. Um, Isa siya yung tinatawag natin na golden record. Yung golden record, nandun na lahat yung nabanggit ko. Naka-embed dun yung noise, yung sounds ng humans, and our daily lives, naka-embed dun. Tapos naka-embed din dun yung itsura ng humans and the directions where to discover the planet. So, yung golden record na yun, as of this moment, it's way beyond the solar system. Okay? Voyager 1 is way beyond the solar system. It's what we call as interstellar space. So ibig sabihin, walang star na malapit-lapit doon as of the moment. Okay? And I forgot when, pero matagal na yung huling transmission ni Voyager 1, but one of the most famous transmissions of Voyager 1 is the one that Carl Sagan had asked NASA to do. Sabi nila nung nandun siya malapit si Voyager 1 nasa malapit siya dun sa area ni Saturn, ang ni-request ni Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan uh, he's like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Kung kilala niyo si Neil deGrasse Tyson, he is like him. Okay? Idol yan ni Neil deGrasse Tyson, si Carl Sagan. So, what he requested NASA to do was to pan the camera of Voyager 1 back to the Earth. Okay? From the perspective of Saturn. So, nandun siya sa area ng Saturn, pinaikot nila yung camera, tapos pinicturean nila. And it was famously called as the pale blue dot image of Earth. Okay? Kasi sa perspective ni Saturn, isang maliit na tuldok lang ang Earth. And again, this triggered something with the planet. After i-publish yung pale blue dot na image, marami yung naging effort with regards to the climate crisis. Kasi kasagsagan na to na na-discover na natin na may climate change. Um, yung mga efforts towards saving the planet was triggered by seeing that image. Bakit? Kasi na-realize natin na we're just space dust. Sa perspective pa lang ng Saturn yun, paano pa 'pag lumayo pa si Voyager, ano na lang itsura ng Earth? Walang borders, walang ingay, walang kahit ano, it's just a pale blue dot lying there in space. It triggered again something in humans, and this is partly why I am discussing this to you. I do hope that that sense of wonder is going to trigger something in you that will keep you moving forward and have and will have you be driven to helping in saving the planet in some regard that you can do. Okay? So yun. Next, of course, ito na yung modern times na tayo talaga. Papunta na tayo doon. So somewhere in the 1990s, the Hubble Space Telescope was launched into its orbit. So gumagana pa naman si Hubble Space Telescope as of the moment, pero syempre, uh, it's it's past its prime. Kung 1990 pa siya kung 1990 pa siya unang ginamit. Okay? So next one, in 1998, the International Space Station begins its construction. Yung ISS po, hindi siya yung kasing laki ng dati. Sorry. Yung ISS po, hindi siya kasing laki nung kung ano state niya ngayon nung nilaunch siya. ISS is modular. Kung nakikita niyo dun sa GIF image, bit by bit siyang nabubuo. So may iba't ibang missions towards ISS that will make connections and form what is now the ISS that we know of. So modular siya, may isang crew na pupunta, magda-dock sa ISS, tapos yun magiging part siya ng ISS. And a lot of nations have been using the ISS. Pero meron mga nations na walang participation sa ISS or hindi sila part ng mga bansa na puwedeng pumunta sa ISS or magstay sa ISS because of security reasons, merong mga gano'n. Okay? So, concerning the next part, ito na yung mas recent talaga. Kasi nagkaroon ng hiatus ang NASA sa space exploration with regards to human space exploration talaga. Kung hindi niyo po na alam, ang ISS wala talaga siya actually sa space, nasa atmosphere pa natin 'yan, okay? And it's constantly orbiting the planet like the moon. So hindi siya totally space yung ISS, pero all the things that happen in space can be can be experienced in the ISS as well. Kaya yan yung ginagamit natin as a benchmarking point for space-related researches. Okay? Because again, it's accessible and in a sense, it replicates what is actually in space. So pag may mga halimbawa, ang karamihan na ginagawa diyang experiment is paano tutubo ang plant in conditions like space or something like that. Kasi gearing towards yun the next step of space exploration, which is of course yung colonization of space. So Curiosity rover, which is now sadly served its purpose, is landed on Mars on 2012, and it took a lot of images. And again, they're sending it back to Earth. So this is an image from the actual surface of Mars. Next, in recent times, we have the JWST or the James Webb Space Telescope, and this is a more high-powered telescope um, that is meant to take a picture of the universe from its beginnings. So kung hindi po ninyo nagigets kung paano gumagana yon, it can take images way beyond, okay, way beyond what we can see with other telescopes. So this has something to do with how light travels. So pwede nating picturean yung light from the beginning of the universe, and that is essentially a screenshot of what the universe looks like when it was sorry, what the universe looks like in in time when the time that it was created or in the time that it was just starting. We can do that with telescopes and the concept of light travel. So yun ang purpose ni James Webb Space Telescope. And now we have more clearer images of various celestial bodies and space features. So just recently, NASA has revived its human human space exploration, or sorry, human. Sorry, wait. Let me revise that. In recent times, NASA has revived its space program that is meant to travel back to the moon. So last 2022, part of this mission was to test a flyby, okay? To test a flyby around the moon. So yung Artemis 1, yun ang purpose niya. Kasi itong mission na to, si Artemis mission, is meant to send humans back to the moon. Okay, matagal na yung huling lapag natin sa buwan. And again, we are once again trying to do that, gearing towards the next steps, which is of course Mars, landing on Mars. Yun, wala pa tayo nagagawa. And most likely in our lifetimes, maaabot natin yan. Yung, o makikita, mapapanood natin yung first steps in Mars. So, sa 2025, to 2026, 2025 to 2026 na schedule will be the launch of the Artemis 2, which will be the manned mission back to the moon. Okay, so ibig sabihin, hindi lang siya katulad ni Artemis 1 kasi pag sinabi nating flyby, wala yung laman. Okay, and iikot lang siya sa buwan. So etong si Artemis 2, maglalapag ulit siya ng mga tao sa buwan. And again, we'll be able to see this in around 2025 to 2026. So silang apat po yun, yung pupunta doon sa buwan in 2025. All right, so moving forward is, of course, as we tried our best to explore space. In its early stages, there were casualties, of course. As we geared towards moving to the final frontier, there are multiple people as multiple lives that were given. Hindi lang po human lives, but also animal lives. Marami po tayong mga animals na inilaunch into space. Most famously, ayan, si Laika of Russia. So, essentially, most of them were one-way trips na ang aim lang talaga ay isend sila sa space tapos i-test or tingnan kung ano ang magiging reactions dun sa body nila in preparation for actual humans that are going to be sent into space. And some of them just had unfortunate accidents that had happened. Hindi natin naiwasan yun. Kahit na anong precaution yung gawin, there were accidents that happened. Okay? And again, these people need to be remembered for the bravery that they did. And these are just some. There are more, of course. So, ito lang yung mga bibigyan natin ng highlights sa time na meron tayo. So, Vladimir Komarov is another cosmonaut and a friend, actually, of Yuri Gagarin. Now, with the Soyuz 1 incident, ang nangyari is, instead na magbukas yung parachute niya, nung pababa na, kasi ang mangyayari nun, after mo ma-launch sa space, babalik ka, at literally nababagsak ka sa Earth ng dire-diretso, like a meteor. Okay? The problem was that, the problem was, hindi gumana yung parachute, so hindi bumagal yung kanyang craft, and eventually it burned. Okay? Ang natira na lang kay Vladimir Komarov ay sunog na body parts. Na-recover yon and it was laid into a memorial. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, nilagay ko doon sa yung picture niya nilagay ko sa sa handout. Check nyo na lang mismo sa internet. Now, on the astronaut side of things, sa America naman, Apollo 1, the very first mission that it was meant to reach the moon, didn't even lifted from the ground. Okay? During one of the tests, what happened was, nagkaroon ng sunog. Natrap yung tatlong astronaut sa loob. Tapos, sadly, of course, nasunog sila. So, hindi sila nakalabas. Na-lock yung hatch, hindi nabuksan ng tama. So, anong nangyari yun, sadly. This happened in the same year, by the way, kung napansin niyo, 1967. Next. So Apollo 13, hindi po sila namatay. Ito yung movie na naging movie, yung ang bida ay si Tom Hanks. So what happened with Apollo 13 was they were supposed to land on the moon. However, ang nangyari sa kanila, nag-U-turn na lang sila. Umikot sila sa buwan tapos bumalik sa Earth. Dahil nagkaroon ng issue sa kanilang oxygen tank. Kapag tinuloy nila yung moon mission, they will die of oxygen deprivation. Mawawalan sila ng oxygen supply. Okay? And very little oxygen na lang yung meron sila. And thankfully, umabot sila sa Earth bago na deplete fully yung kanilang oxygen supply na natira. Soyuz 11 in 1971. Again, 3 cosmonauts sadly passed away because of this incident. So, ang nangyari naman dito, habang pabalik na sila sa Earth, nagkaroon ng issue yung kanilang Soyuz capsule that resulted into decompression. Okay? Ay, sorry, decompression. Depressurization. So, dahil na-depressurize sila yung katawan nila, alam niyo yung nangyayari sa Coke? Pag inalog ninyo tapos binuksan ninyo, parang gano'n yung nangyari sa katawan nila basically through depressurization. Okay? So, nagkaroon sila ng at saka yung ano rin, yung mga tawag nito, yung mga, nagda-dive tapos pumupunta sa surface, tapos biglang nagkakaroon sila ng issue with depressurization. Gano'n din essentially, kaya lang baliktad. From low pressure to high pressure nagkaroon ng issue. So, dapat properly pressurized kasi yung cabin nila, kaya lang ang nangyari is, ah, nagkaroon ng depressurization. So, nawala yung hangin essentially sa cabin nila na nagpe-pressurize. So, habang bumabagsak sila pabalik sa Earth, they experience rapid depressurization. So, yun yung nangyari sa mga katawan nila sadly. Next one is the Challenger spacecraft. Ito, space shuttle ang gamit nila. Yung space shuttle, ang ginagawa niyan is ganito. Hindi siya katulad ng mga missions natin sa moon. Ang space shuttle para lang siyang nagda-dive. Aangat siya, tapos magsi-stay siya ng slight sa orbit, tapos bababa din siya eventually. Yun yung purpose ng space shuttle. And some space shuttles are meant to carry the astronauts into the International Space Station. So, anong nangyari dito sadly, hindi rin sila nakaabot ng space. Itong lahat na 'yan, yung buong crew ng Space Shuttle Challenger, kung nakikita ninyo sa GIF image, sumabog po yung Space Shuttle Challenger. Okay. So, nagkaroon ng issue there was a mechanical failure that happened. So, sadly, meron pa naman ditong isa, nakalimutan ko kung sino sa kanila, pero meron dito isa na teacher siya, hindi talaga wala siyang kinalaman sa ano, wala siyang kinalaman sa space and all, pero teacher siya na napili para ito yata si McAuliffe yata yun kung di ako nagkakamali. Pero ayun nga, teacher siya na kasama nung crew, tapos ang aim nun ng government is Teacher in Space program, parang gano'n. Tas, again, to inspire the children. Sadly, hindi na nga umabot because of the incident that had happened. Okay? Next. The most recent issue the most recent uh, disaster that had happened with regards to NASA and astronauts is the Space Shuttle Columbia. Okay, itong Space Shuttle Columbia, nangyari dito is pabalik na sila. So galing sila ng International Space Station, pabalik na sila. Sadly, nung pabalik na sila, nagkaroon ng problem yung wing part ng shuttle, tapos sumabog din. Ayan, kung nakita niyo, bigla na lang siya nag-break into pieces na habang nasa sky pa. So again, sadly, all of the astronauts passed away during that incident. And again, these are just some of the unsung heroes of space exploration. We should honor them for their contribution, for their contribution to widen human knowledge about space and development of our technologies as well. So, ayun. Okay, so let's move on to again your Easter egg hunt. This is the image. Take of it as you will and interpret it. Next. Now we have been facing a modern space race. So, even the Philippines is taking part of this. Maraming iba-ibang bansa ang nakakapunta na rin sa buwan, ang kanilang mga spacecraft, and naaabot na rin ang Mars ng kanilang mga spacecraft. So, little by little, other countries are taking interest into investing through the space exploration as well. So, sa Pilipinas, meron tayong 2 satellite at iba pang satellite na maliliit na pinapasabay literally sa mga iba't ibang agencies para ma-explore ang space. Wala po tayong space program dito sa Pilipinas. Wala tayong space program, so wala tayong rockets para mag-launch into space. So, itong mga ano natin, itong mga satellite natin, si Diwata 1 and 2, they were just payloads essentially in others rockets. Pero nakarating na sila sa space. Ayan, so quick run through of the modern space race. So yung Juno spacecraft, yan ay nag-take ng image ng Jupiter last 2011. Then China is creating their own space agency, or sorry, space station. Okay? And kasi wala pong Chinese sa at least Chinese in actual nationality po sa space station because of security reasons. Base sa nabasa ko, yun ang dahilan, security reasons. So wala pong Chinese by nationality sa space station natin sa ISS. So gumagawa sila ng sarili nilang version ng ISS, and 2011 they've successfully docked. So India reached Mars last 2014, and they have this spacecraft that is studying Mars. That has studied Mars kasi inactive na siya if I'm not mistaken. Then 2015, New Horizons. Ito ay nilaunch 9 years prior to 2015, and its aim was to take images of Pluto, which it successfully did. And this is that particular image, showing that Pluto has ice in it. That's the clearest image of Pluto that we ever had. Next, in 2016, SpaceX, a private company, had successfully created reusable rocket boosters. Okay? That was able to land. Kasi before this, syempre may mga pagsabog na naganap. Ano bang aim nitong si SpaceX? Ang aim po ni SpaceX ay mabawasan po ang ating space waste. Marami po tayong basura with regards to our space exploration. At karamihan niya naka-orbit lang sa atin. Yung iba bumabagsak at nasusunog sa atmosphere. Pero maraming basura ang space exploration. At para ma-mitigate yung basura, gumagamit tayo ng reusable, or sorry, gumawa sila ng reusable rockets. Okay? So, hindi siya yung basta one use tas tapon agad. So, yun yung purpose nun. And they are getting better at it, okay, in recent times. So, 2019 naman, naabot ng China ang far side of the moon. So, ito ay hindi pa na-explore ng kahit sino. And they're doing some researches about it. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, ito yon yung Chang'e 4 na nagtanim ng patatas sa surface ng buwan. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, ito yon. Next. Perseverance, on the other hand, landed on 2020. Sorry, landed on Mars on 2020, last 2020. Ito yung may kasamang maliit na helicopter doon sa kanyang system. So, si Perseverance yon. Next, just recently, the moon's south pole was covered, or at least was landed upon by India's Chandrayaan 3 spacecraft. So, ayan. Now, with this modern space race, actually hindi lang yan, mga ilan, highlights lang yan, marami pang iba. With this modern space race, we can see that in the future, space will be a viable uh, market in a sense, economically speaking. Ito na yung next step essentially. Huwag naman sanang sumobra, yun naman ang ano doon, ang hindi maganda doon, yung gawin talagang pagkakitaan ng sobrang space. Pero ang point is, marami ng private companies na hindi naman talaga affiliated with NASA or any space agency ang gumagawa ng effort para magkaroon ng space travel. Okay? They're seeing it as a future investment. Ito, ang example lang yan. Ayan nga si SpaceX, Virgin Galactic, and Blue Origin, iba-ibang private companies yan na merong kani-kanyang space program in a sense. So, ang maganda rito is merong mga private companies na gumagawa ng at maaaring makadiscover ng mga solutions and maaaring makadiscover ng mga paraan or ways para mas maging affordable and mas maging uh, accessible para sa mas marami ang space exploration or space travel. Essentially, yun ang goal nila. So, syempre, maaaring may ma-discover sila na maaaring magamit ng government-affiliated space programs na mas magpapaganda or mag-improve ng ating space exploration. So, isa na dyan yung sa SpaceX ngayon nga, about sa reusable rockets. Um, it's a good thing because again, actual space agencies are able to use reusable rockets. Next. So ano na ba yung mga possible ways that we can see the future of space travel, okay, or space economics pala, sorry. So syempre ang aim natin dito ultimately is kung wala na talagang pag-asa at nasira na natin ang mundo through our issues that we do. Isa pang reason kung bakit tinatawag na final frontier ang space kasi ito ang last escape route natin kapag nasira natin ng sobrang tindi ang planeta natin. So again, these private companies along with the space agencies powered by or funded by the government, one of their major goals is of course to allow uh, the exploration of possible avenues into which humans can slowly transition from the Earth to living in space and colonizing other planets that are potentially harboring life as well. So through that regard, we can understand the goal here. Escape route nga siya. Ganon. Ganon ang mangyayari para sa space. Kasi wala na tayong magawa sa planet Earth, so punta na lang tayo sa ibang planeta. Pero in line with that is, of course, yung pera na kalakip nito. Space travel, ito, yung Virgin Galactic, essentially, ginagawa na yan. They had two initial people who, ay, hindi ba two ba sila or three? Three yata. Three people who have been sent through one of their crafts into low Earth orbit. So, hindi pa yun actual space, pero essentially, malapit na siya sa ISS or nandun na sa area ng ISS. So, space, quote unquote. And this is going to be more common in the future. Okay? Yung commercialization ng space travel. So pupunta ka sa isang area, sa space, tapos or maaaring commercial travel to the moon. So pagkakakitaan to, business opportunity to para sa mga entrepreneur. Okay? Pero kung ililimit natin siya sa panahon ngayon, satellites are already an ongoing business opportunity. So 'di ba itong si ano, pangalan nito, yung kay Elon Musk na internet, okay. So yung internet service na yon ni Elon Musk ay satellite powered. So may mga nagsu-subscribe na sa gano'n. Kasi nga hindi pala mas convenient, mas mabilis yung internet in that regard. So may mga nagsu-subscribe sa gano'n. And it is a business opportunity that is not too far-fetched or not too fictional or sci-fi in nature. Tapos, isa na rin diyan yung pagkuha ng mga resources. So, pag itong mga companies na ito ay naka-develop ng kanilang sariling space program, malamang sa malamang ang mangyayari sa kanila is maglo-launch sila ng sarili nilang space probes na pupunta sa iba't ibang areas ng space at mag-e-extract ng mga resources. Tapos babayaran yun ngayon ng mga gustong mag-aral ng mga information na yun or data na yun. And again, business opportunity yun. Tapos again, in a sci-fi-esque manner, yung mga space hotels kung tawagin, it's going to act like the International Space Station, but it's meant for just leisurely travel in space or leisurely stay in space. And again, business opportunity po yun. So ito yung mga future ng space. Sorry, this is the future of space economics. So at the end of the day, there is a very huge potential with regards to space economy. So magandang pag-usapan siya as early as now kasi again, the ideas are there. And later on, when technology permits them, they'll most likely be executed given the nature of humans and given the nature of entrepreneurs in general. Pero ang dapat natin pag-usapan ay yung mas importanteng bagay. As we travel into space, we discover more about our universe. Incidentally, we discover more about ourselves because it's partly answering the question of our existence. It's partly answering the ultimate question of what and why. What's our purpose here? Why are we here in this blue planet that harbors life? The only blue planet that harbors life so far that we know. So this drive to explore what is beyond the surface of the planet is what led us to where we are right now and what will continue to lead us as we move forward into the future. So itong picture na to, yan ay picture ni Bruce McCandles. This is the only time that a spacewalk, pag sinabi po nating spacewalk, yan yung lumalabas yung mga astronaut ng International Space Station at pumupunta sa ah, labas ng ISS para mag-repairs and etc. At one point, one astronaut by the name of Bruce McCandles did a spacewalk that was untethered. Ano yung untethered? May ano yan, may connection ka dun sa ISS pa rin kapag ka nagsa-spacewalk pa. May parang harness na nakakonect sa'yo para hindi ka maiwan. Kasi pag naiwan ka ng ISS, wala na. Hindi ka na mahahabol, hindi ka makakalangoy papunta doon dahil wala magtutulak sa'yo. So etong si astronaut McCandles ang meron siyang meron siyang device na ginamit. So yan yung anong tawag dun? Ah, basta may maneuver, nakalimutan ko yung term. Basta ang point niyan is nag-e-eject niya ng kaunting air, parang ginagawa lang din ng mga maliliit na spacecraft. May mga compressed air yan sa loob na mag-e-eject ng kaunting hangin. Tapos yun ngayon yung magme-maintain ng posisyon ng isang astronaut. Kasi hindi po kayo makakalangoy sa space, hindi yan tubig. Wala kayong kakapitan. So kahit na magkakawag ka dun, hindi ka hindi ka makakalangoy. Pag naiwan ka, iwan ka. So eto, ang kauna-unahan at kahuli-hulihan as of the moment na untethered spacewalk. And just look how it looks like. It is it is astonishing, at least to me. I don't know to you, but this is astonishing to see that there's this one man, one human floating above the planet, showing how tiny humans are with regards to how space looks like in the universe in general. And even though we're that small, imagine yan, even though we're that small, we are still able to do these things. It is it is a gift to us by the universe itself. Sabi nga ni Carl Sagan, the cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff. We are the way for the universe to know itself. So kahit na maliit tayo, kahit na maliit ang humans with comparison to the entirety of the universe, we still have that gift of the universe itself. Okay? We are literally from stars. Each and every atom in your body was once part of a star. And now, these parts of stars are collectively working to study stars and study the universe itself. And that's where we should focus on. Not the greedy aspect of space travel, but the continuous drive for knowledge, the continuous drive to answer the important questions of why are we here? Are we alone in the universe? So think about this. And I hope as you think about this, you'll get triggered to do something. Save the planet because it's the only planet that we have as of the moment that can house life. And as a final note for your Easter egg hunt, this. So again, take it as you will. Kung anong paano nyo man yan i-deduce. Pero ayan, ang huling-huling part ng inyong Easter egg hunt. And to close this subject, I leave you with this quote from Stephen Hawking. Life on Earth is at the ever increasing risk of being wiped out by a disaster such as sudden global warming, nuclear war, a genetically engineered virus, or other dangers. I think that human race has no future if it doesn't go into space. Therefore, I therefore want to encourage the public interest in space. And again, always remember to keep looking up. Always retain that sense of wonder because that is again how that is the reason why we have reached this far, and that will be the reason why we will continue moving forward into the future. And once again, I thank you all for listening to this video lecture. And this is the official end of our class in science, technology, and society. It's been a wonderful time with all of you. And once again, thank you.